Hi everyone, welcome to Book of Magic. I'm Amy Figueroa and welcome into today's art journal paint party. We're going to be using this template that you can find in my Etsy shop and the link is in the description. For our supplies, we've got some blues. I have a Peacock blue Inactinique, and cool gray. So blues in a dark, medium, and lighter shade. Blues or grays. And then I have a brighter color pencil. It doesn't matter what color. This is what I'm going to use to trace and transfer my bird to my page, and it just needs to be a color that you can see clearly. I've got various sizes and styles of brushes that are pretty small in size, and my gouache palette, using carbon paper to transfer the image, and this is Portland brand. It comes with 25 pages and I got this at Office Depot. You can use one page several times, like, probably 10 times, I would think. And I'm gonna use some painter's tape to put my image where I want it on the page. I'm taping it down in sort of this hinge so that I can lift it up and still be able to put my carbon paper underneath, okay? And now I'm going to trace the bird using a bright colored pencil so that I can see what I have already gone over. This part is meant to be therapeutic and to invite you to slow down and enjoy the tracing. There is quite a bit of tracing, and so this is not going to be something you just whip right through, like in a minute. This is meant to slow down and take your time. I'm going to continue tracing this and I will see you when I'm finished. Okay, how we doing? I know that was tedious. And before you remove your tape, it's good to check back and see if you missed anything, and I see that I've missed this little dot. Okay, I promise that if you have gotten this far, you will not be disappointed. So let's have some fun now. I'm beginning with a light wash of black. I'm using gouache here. You could use watercolor or ink, as long as it is somewhat translucent so that we can still see our lines on the bird. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start applying this. This base coat is going to help us choose where to add contrast throughout the bird so that we can see the feathers better. We want to keep this wash in sort of a medium tone. Not too dark, but also not too light. And it's perfectly okay to see some brush strokes. I'm noticing that my brush is naturally giving me some feathery brush strokes, so I think that looks really cool. Okay, we're gonna give this a blow dry. So I've dried my raven, and I noticed that the head area seems to be lighter than the body, so I'm gonna give the head another coat and see if I can get it to the same tone. So that looks better to me. So now that this is dry, we're gonna switch brushes. I'm gonna switch to this teeny tiny one. Let's see if it has a number. It says 5/0, and it's an artist's buff brush. I'm gonna use that same black gouache and paint in these feathers here a little darker than everything else. We're just gonna leave the eye alone for a little bit. You can sort of make these lines to go over the top of the edges there so that we can't see any harsh lines. This little area here, we're gonna fill this in as well. I'm going over the lines a little bit so that I don't see that traced part. So these two blocks of black are now giving the impression of a cheek here, and also they help to define the beak as well. Next, we are going to fill in these feathers, and there's a really specific way to do this. When painting a feather next to each other, we're gonna leave a little gap between them so that we can tell that they're separate. So as much as we can, we're gonna try and leave that little space. Like here, I'm gonna draw like a little area with the paint. And it's okay if, you know, it doesn't happen exactly the same for every feather. But as much as we can, we're trying to leave just this little space in between the feathers. That's going to be important later. back and loading up my brush every once in a while as I run out of paint. And the variation in the tones that are happening is really cool. So some of them, like these, are pretty dark. And this part is also meant to be relaxing and meditative. So see how I'm leaving a little bit of space in between. It almost looks kind of like a mosaic, and we're leaving a grout line. So I'm filling in all the way to the bottom of the feather, but then at the top I'm trying to leave a little space where it meets up with another feather. I hope this makes sense. This project does not have to be finished in one setting either, which is nice. You can work on it a little bit at a time, leave it to dry, and go do whatever you need to, errands, go to work, and then just come right back to it. So go ahead and finish up all of these feathers here in the same way, and I'll meet you after I'm done with it. And right now I'm going to load up my brush with the black gouache and get it really dark. And I'm gonna just paint over these lines that are over here. Oop. Just want to save these lines, make sure they're very dark. Right now I'm outlining the claws here with my tiny little brush and the black gouache. I'm holding my brush close to the tip so that I have maximum control over it with these little fine lines here. And I think I'm just gonna fill this in. Okay, I have just blow dried this, and now it's... What I'm gonna do is create one more wash of the paint, watery version. I want to get a color that's a little bit darker than this. So let's see. All right, that is very dark. So I'm adding some water and gonna add water straight to the page to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm gonna go over here too a little bit. Maybe not the entire wing, but just a little bit. Now, if you add black and you feel like it's too dark, you can just quickly grab your paper towel and blot it, press on it, and that will lift up some of it. Next, I'm going to also add a little bit of that darker wash to the beak. And I don't want it to be so dark that I can't see my lines there. So the importance of outlining everything is so that we don't lose the shape. So I'm just kind of dry brushing a little bit more on here. So it's important that there's a contrast so that you can see the different elements here, but we don't want it to be too much of a contrast. So I'm gonna get a little bit darker here. And it just so happens that my brush makes these little lines, and I really like that. It's like an angled brush. Okay, so I'm very happy with this contrast. Whereas before it was too light and too dark, now I have like a dark black and kind of a medium black. That's what we're going for. Okay, so I'm gonna blow dry this and then we're gonna keep working. Okay, so we got a dry bird now, and this looks really cool as it is. So if you wanted to keep it this way and then just add some detail to the eye, that would really look good too. I'm going to take it to another level, add another layer with colored pencils. And again, these are Prisma colored pencils. This is Peacock blue. And I'm gonna start adding the kind of a highlight just in a rough, kind of scribbly way to this cowl area. I'm sort of adding some color and texture to the lighter areas. And I'm going to fill in the beak except for the separating line here. I'm gonna try. And then I'm gonna randomly go down this feather here and just pick out different little feathers to scribble on top of. If you've seen photographs of ravens or any blackbird, you have probably seen that the highlight or the sheen on them sometimes looks blue. So that's what we're going for here. So this part of the layering is also helping us to find the best contrast throughout. And we're going to be adding dark and light back and forth until we get it to the way we love it. So now everything looks unified. It's kind of got the same tone again. So I would like to go back, and I think I want to add black again right now. So I'm going back to my tiny brush and my gouache, my black gouache. And I'm going to do some outlining here. You could also use a marker if you feel more comfortable with that. And I'm not being too precious with this. These are kind of wiggly lines. And I'm keeping this kind of a V shape here for the cowl. Go back and darken this area again so that it stands out. Kind of retrace this line here. And kind of maybe cross over the edges of the outer line, just for fun. I want to define where this wing meets the body here, so I'm going to make this darker. And I'm also going to now go back through here and right on top of those lighter areas, like this one here, I'm just going to draw right on top of it. I left myself that little space so that I can see the separation of the feathers, and now I'm going to go back and do my best to paint right over the top of each one of those lines. I don't have to do every single one, but I want to get quite a few of them. As you can see here, there's a space, and here's some lighter areas I left for myself. This could be a lot easier for you if you wanted to use a micron pen or any type of fine point or black pen. Works really well. This is why I love mixed media. And there are no rules as to what supplies you can use. Whatever you prefer is exactly what you should be using. So there are some places I didn't paint over that lighter area, and that looks cool, looks like a highlight. So it's definitely okay to leave some of those open. We want to create a sense of randomness, but really we know it was intentional. This area here, like a little fluff above each leg, I'm gonna just fill that in darker. And over here, I might fill this area in darker as well, just to show the definition between the body and the wing there. I'm really liking this a lot. Let's see, I think that I'm gonna paint over this, just a little light wash over this pencil. Make the beak a little bit darker. I'm really loving how this looks. Gonna give it a dry and then we'll see what else we want to add. Alrighty, I have this dry now, and by the way, I am working in my Book of Magic painter's journal that is filled with Bristol paper, and this, in my opinion, is the greatest paper to work with for mixed media painting. It takes gouache, watercolor, inks, acrylic, high flow, acrylic, heavy body, any kind of paint so beautifully, and it holds up. It does not bleed through the back. It's just amazing and I love it. I do all of my paintings on it, even my bigger commission paintings. I use Bristol paper, so I highly recommend this. And if you want one of my painter's journals, they are currently in the Etsy shop right now if you want to take a look at that. So let's go for a high highlight with, you could either use a very light blue, a white, or a very light gray like I'm about to use. So let's see what happens. Oh yeah, I can see it. So just here and there across the top, actually this is towards the bottom of this cowl area, I'm just gonna add some scribbles, and then just here and there in the feathers. And it looks cool if you go over the top of the blue that you already have there. That looks good as well. We're just trying to create some definition between feathers, and this looks so cool. I love how it's working. If it's not showing up for you, you need to go a shade lighter, most likely. This gray, it's PC1059. It works smashingly. So I'm just scribbling up and down, and I'm kind of going with the curve of the lines that are already there. I just angle my hand and curve around. And let's see up here. Just a little bit of definition in these feathers, maybe around the edges. And I'm going to switch back to the other blue. I'm going to try this middle of the road tone blue. This is non-photo blue. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but oh yeah, this is what I needed. It's not too light, but it is light enough for you to be able to see the separation in the beak. And I'm gonna keep it more pronounced towards the end here, and then darken it up back here towards the face. Oh yeah, that looks so cool. Okay, I'm totally in love with this. This looks amazing. And now the last part, the very best part, is the eye. And the way that I want to do this, let's give it a wash. We don't want to lose it, but we're giving it kind of a medium wash. Like, I can still see it. If you can't see it, you should blot it so that you don't lose it completely. Okay, So there we have like a medium wash on it. I blotted it so I can see the lines. And with the medium tone pencil, I'm going to draw. Ooh, actually, I need to blow dry it. This is the importance of blow drying. Let me dry it really quick. Okay, I'm back. I have blow dried the bird, and I'm gonna draw a line around the eye that's there. This would be like outside of the line that I already traced on there. And then for the inside, I'm gonna go back to my gouache here with my tiny brush. And here you could also switch to a black micron pen, something that's permanent. And I'm just gonna paint in that black. And I'm leaving that little dot there. And then I think I'm gonna go around the outer edge of the pencil that I just put in and just kind of give some little lines. Perfect. And these are, again, Prisma color pencils. They're just the best. They work absolutely the very best, in my opinion, for mixed media painting. And now, lastly, we're gonna add in our little dot of white acrylic paint. I've got mine here. I'm just getting a teeny tiny bit and just wiping it off. Mostly I want it right on the tip of my teeny tiny brush. And I'm just going to fill in that little dot there. And that is beautiful. If you want to take it a little further, you can also kind of make a line going across. Something like that. So beautiful. And then if that kind of fades out, you let it dry and just give it another layer to brighten it up right on top of it. Sometimes that happens. Okay, our bird is finished, and now we're just gonna fill in the background. So you could like literally do anything for your background. You could fill it in with writing. You could paint a little scene in there. You can do some watercolor that goes over here to the side. I don't know, you can do anything. You know what? I might do that. I think what I'm gonna do, something really fun that I wasn't planning. I'm gonna use my gouache and a bigger watercolor brush, and I'm just gonna add some really pretty watercolor flowers around the back. And because this is a journal page, I'm gonna kind of move them across here to create a space here to add any writing or anything that I wanted to glue or you know, put in there. So let's see. You could definitely use mixed media in the background too. That will look really good. I'm gonna use this purpley color and just gonna use the shape of my brush to make interesting flowers. I'm just turning my brush in there. Can you see that okay? Down here in the corner, make a bigger one. There's like a bigger space to fill. Adding some more water. Just want these to be really loose and watery. They are not a specific flower, I'm just making this up. but oh my gosh, this is looking so cool. Let's give it maybe a little flick of paint. And then what I got on my bird, just gonna wipe that off. Oh, I love this raven. It is so beautiful. How do you all like it? Oh my goodness, this looks fabulous. So if you try this at home, tag me and let me know how it goes. Follow me over on Instagram if you're not already. I would love to see your posts over there. Let's see. So don't forget to go and grab this template and make this beautiful raven over the weekend. You could also do it like transfer it on separate pieces of paper, and then you have like this paper doll that you can add in to a pocket or something. You know, the possibilities are endless. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you so much for stopping by. I'll be back next Friday for another paint party. It will guaranteed be mixed media. That's my jam. That's what I do. So I hope you join me. Yay, I'm so excited. I will see you then. All right, bye-bye.